Thank you everyone so far who has been on for making our I Ask the Expert. Today is our last one of the season, and we want to thank Megan for hopping on and giving it to us. She is going to be going over how to give practice 100%. Megan is the owner of Central Coast Polo Club and also coaches the powerhouse Cal Poly team out on the West Coast. So Megan, if you want to start your presentation and take it away.
Great. Good morning and afternoon to everyone that's here on the call. I just thank you for joining us today. And the reason I say us is because this is an interactive presentation in conjunction with the United States Polo Association. I'm a certified polo instructor, professional polo player, umpire, and coach. And I've been riding and playing polo for a little over 25 years now. And the reason I wanted to bring this topic to you is because these days with limited resources, it's getting harder and harder to give practice 100%. So that's why we're here. So success in a game is really what we're talking about here. So let's see, I'm going to share my screen now. So we want to set ourselves up for success, both on and off the field. And that means horsemanship, right? I don't know if anyone saw that talk that Jeff Hall just gave like a couple days ago. You know, the horse can be 100% of the game. So if the horse is now 100% of the game, horsemanship has to be one of our ways that we're going to be successful both on and off the field. Raising our handicap, increasing the level of play that we're capable of attaining. You know, all these things come out of being successful at practice. And I want you guys to ask yourself, have you truly, if you've won or lost a game, did you give it 100%, right? And of course we give 100% in a game, and when we win, we're rewarded. Intrinsically, self-esteem is growing. And then extrinsically, because we have trophies and, the trophy stand photos. But if we're not practicing, then our 100% is proportionately less than someone who spent even 15 minutes more than that practicing. So think about that. If you have someone out there that you're competing against that even spent 15 more minutes than you preparing, they're going to be more successful in a game. And if they are practicing more efficiently with a goal or a purpose, then they have more effectively prepared to give 100%. So even though you might say, well, yeah, I mean, I talked to my teammates before the game and, I knew what size mallet I was going to do and I knew my horse order. Well, what about that person that spent the last 2 weeks singling their horses, or they spent the last 2 weeks playing practice games? So that's what we're talking about. All right, so I want to break down this idea of practice into 3 areas: goals, preparation, and execution. And so these goals can be tangible, intangible, meaningful, and they can just be an experience. So we talk about time and money. How can you be successful without a professional or a coach or someone instructing you? Well, this is what we're going to talk about in this presentation. This is for you, right? If you don't have access to those things, either because of distance or because of time or because of money, that's why you're here. Or let's say you have a coach, you have a professional that you pay, or a boss that pays you, right? Here's how you can make the most of their time and of your time, all right? So we want to be, our goals to be a good teammate. We want to be a good horseman. And because we practice for the fun, but also for the win, because we're competitive. I know everyone on this call right now likes to play polo because they're competitive. So if you are thinking about hard work and you're thinking about being a good teammate, then those things should pay off. So what are some goals, okay? Maybe you want to look like a polo player when you're playing. So you want to be able to execute penalties. You want to be able to ride and hit the ball offside, near side, forward, backwards. Maybe you want to do a better job as a team, like playing together, tacking your horses together, managing. You're thinking, well, I'm not here to be a manager. Well, no, but you have to learn to manage your time. Okay, that's just as important. Training or umpiring. I challenge people, if they want to understand why they're fouling so much, I say, okay, we'll learn to umpire. Okay, then you can see their perspective. So let's take a big picture view and go backwards. You want to win a big tournament. If you want to win a big tournament, you probably are going to start planning 6 months in advance. And you're thinking, 6 months? 6 months, yeah. But most people are realistically 2 to 3 months out. You have to plan early. If you want to win open regionals, or you want to win the East Coast Open or the West Coast Open, you're getting prepared months in advance. You're figuring out your pros, you're figuring out your horses. And if you're trying to do something within 2 months, it's realistically not a big enough goal, okay? But we can still work with those goals. Remember that horses are athletes. So we have to train them and ourselves. We can't just expect the horses to be ready to go for us in a tournament if we haven't been preparing them as well. But let's assume your goals are simple. You want to hit forward and backward at speed. You want to ride ahead of your opponent instead of chasing them. Or maybe it's to have a full team to compete, like Sherry was just talking about. She's trying to organize her teams. That's a goal. Like, that is taking on the steps to practice. Maybe it's to purchase a horse to play in a big tournament, or to make or train a green horse. These are all goals. Either way, these goals are primary or simple. These goals feed to a bigger goal, okay? So how do we prep? What's the bigger goal? Sorry, raise your handicap or be a better teammate. I have to say that because most people do want to raise their handicap. That is one of the incentives of playing polo, is that you have a higher handicap, and especially the way that they've expanded the handicap scale, less compression at the 0 level. You can raise your handicap outdoor and in the grass, especially with the entrance of women's handicaps. All right, so preparation. Now, not all this is going to depend on your level and this is going to depend on your level and your availability of time and money, okay? So if you are prepping your arena or your grass field, or someone else's drag, mow, balls, cones, hitting cage, do you have access to all these things? So if you are at a club that provides these things, you have to go ahead and ask, when can I have the arena to myself? Could I have it dragged and watered for me? Can someone mow the field or half the field so I can work on penalties? If you have access to lots of time, well, then you could take on these tasks. You could learn how to drag, you could learn how to mow, and you could get yourself some more time and in the good favors of the manager. If you're shorter on time, well, maybe you're going to have to pay for these things. So someone else may be in charge of them, all right? But horses are the biggest factor to having a successful practice. They have to be fit. They have to be healthy. You should have the correct tack, the correct horse for a practice, because many of us might have a horse, but it's not super great at stick and ball, or it's not really a great practice horse because it only likes to go fast, okay? It might be a horse that you got out of high goal, or a horse that was it has more energy, right? And so we can think about, well, what are we feeding that horse? That's a whole nother topic, but still, think about your horses. Think about your availability location. But we can't ignore that horses are the biggest factor to a successful practice. I know a lot of people come out and they'll have a horse that needs to be worked down for 10 to 15 minutes before they can even start practicing. Well, that is going to fatigue your body, right? So if you have accessibility to a round pen, think about, okay, if I really want to practice on this horse today, I'm going to come 20 minutes early, and this goes back to managing, and I'm going to round pen my horse for 15 to 20 minutes, make sure that they're good and tired and ready for me to be successful at what I would like to practice on, okay? So as far as you yourself, are you hydrated? Have you eaten today? Did you get sleep? Are you in a good attitude? Like, are you in an attitude where I'm ready to go out and practice? Or are you in an attitude where you're like, I still have to study for this midterm, or I still have to pick up my kids from school, or I still have to go to grocery shopping, or clean my house, or pack, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, are you prepared? Is your attitude ready for practice? Are you going to devote time to it and give it 100%? And that's what we're talking about. Fitness. Are you fit? Can you go to a practice for 4 chukkers, or are you going to get tired? And equipment. So now we're getting into more of the prep, but also the nitty gritty stuff. Okay. So prep, horses. Let's say you're thinking to yourself, I don't have really great access to practice horses. Okay. Well, let's reach out. Let's get creative. I program, a lesson program, look for a high goal pro who might need help legging up their horses, sponsors who need help keeping horses fit, or someone who needs help, or someone who needs someone to practice with. So if you have a club nearby and someone has 6 horses, but they want to practice, you say, well, I'll meet you and I'll help you get your horses out and we can practice together. It's a win-win. Look for a younger player maybe at your club that needs supervision, right? If one of the younger players wants to ride more and stick and ball more, but they need someone to supervise them and the club pro is too busy, or there's just not anyone else around because of time or, distance and traveling, see if you can help out. You can supervise a practice, you get some practice times too. Grooming or working to ride. Now, this is a great option if it's available to people, and it's a great way to get on a horse a couple extra hours and really focus. And we're going to talk about what you should focus on in the next slide. Okay. Other things, getting creative about finding an arena. You don't have to have a polo arena to practice. You can have just a regular dressage arena, or maybe there's a dirt field you can drag and mow to make sure it's safe. Always make sure that you're safe. Use good judgment before going at speed or riding in a non-horsey place. But we're fortunate along the coast, especially, that we can go to the beach. That's a great place to exercise horses, stick and ball. Think about state parks or even a public riding area. So really start to think about, I can't drive an hour to my home club, but I can maybe get 10 minutes down the road, and allow yourself some more time. Okay, so prep, equipment. So why is this important? Okay, you are going to play the way that you practice. So we always want to be prepared for changes. This is part of the management side. What if more people show up? What if less people show up? What if you were planning on sticking and balling 6 horses, but those 6 horses weren't there on time, so you have to ride someone else's? That happens a lot in tournaments. You could book horses if they're not yours, or maybe yours had a flat tire, or maybe yours had an injury. So be flexible. Maybe there's more horses than you planned on riding. Okay, you thought that you're going to do 2, but your teammate can't come and they need you to ride theirs as well. So be prepared with all your equipment in case these things happen. This shows that you are prepared to others. It shows that you are prepared to your coach, your mentor, professionals, and your teammates. And what I'm talking about here is bringing all your equipment, okay? Your helmet, absolutely, every time you ride. If you have your long hair down, tie it back. We're athletes. We don't want to think about our hair getting in front of our face or in our mouth as we're practicing. Appropriate clothes. We want to be professional. We all represent this sport, so it's really important that we wear polos when we practice, and that we also have, correct leggings or riding pants or jeans, polo boots, knee guards, gloves, eye protection. I talk about having 3 shades, clear, orange, and gray, because sometimes you may think you're going to play indoors and then you go outdoors, or you might think that you're going to be outside and you go in. So having these things means that you are well prepared, and that is the bottom line for polo. If you're not prepared, you're not going to give 100% to your practice. All right, I talk about whip and spurs briefly. Artificial aids are to help you and help the horse. Used correctly, they will allow the horse to labor less and you, the player, to labor less, which in the end benefits the horse. Sometimes I'll say to my players, throw your spurs on, and they won't. And then they'll play that horse and they'll be exhausted and they'll go into the third and fourth checkers exhausted. And I'll be, why didn't you ride spurs on your second checker horse? Oh, well, I didn't think I needed them. Great. But again, if you had had them, you would have expended less energy, right? This is practicing 100%. Use the tools and the aids that you need. Okay, mallets. Multiple size mallets, 49 inches to 54, okay? And if you have time and extra money, you can keep your tournament mallets separate from your practice mallets. You can have grass only, arena only, basically. And of course, if you have a few to loan, that helps because then it shows that you're being a good teammate. When your teammates show up and they forget something or something's lost in an airport, you can say, oh, here you go, I have an extra. All right, now again, how can you get these items? Can you borrow them? Can you ask to share? Can you make payments on them? Can you trade? A couple of ideas too is finding people with broken mallets and going ahead and taking them off their hands. They can cost 35 to 50 to be repaired, and then that will add to your arsenal of 100% giving it. All right? Okay. Preparation U. What's in your control, right? We'll let go of what's outside your control. You can be hydrated. You can have eaten food. You can be doing fitness, stretching yoga, making sure that you're fit enough for the practice that you're attending. I think someone's not muted, so just check to make sure your computer's muted. Have you been riding, right? Have you been in the hitting cage? If you want to go to practice and you haven't been on a horse in a couple months, maybe you should get in the hitting cage for a little while beforehand so that you're warmed up. That way you're doing the horse a favor because you're not swinging and swinging and swinging and wasting that good practice time on the horse. You could be warming up in the hitting cage, okay? Make sure that you're realistic, okay? If you're not fit, okay, take care of yourself with ice afterwards. Take care of yourself with Tylenol, Aleve, turmeric. You know, there's so many people that will come to practice and they'll say, oh, my arm hurts. Well, then take some Advil, like take some Tylenol. Like I showed up ready to go. Why aren't you giving 100%? Okay, so you guys have to be a good teammate and you have to be ready to practice and give yourself and your teammates 100%. All right. And don't be making excuses, especially to teammates or to the coach. You know, everyone has busy stuff going on. Do your part. All right. And I should also say, if you are the most experienced, okay, because a lot of times I know players that will come to practice and not give 100% because they feel as though they're the most experienced or they're the best player. They don't recognize what they can get out of a practice, all right? Well, this is what I'm going to talk about next. These players are the players that need to set the example because it is their example that will trickle down to all the beginning players. And the beginning players will want to raise their level and compete harder because they see where the bar is set. So if that's one of you listening, you're the best player at your practices, you set the example. Okay, here we go. Execution. So you show up to practice solo, okay? Nobody's there. What do? You warm up, you walk one way, trot one way, canter one way. Why do you do this? Well, it's for you and the horse, okay? You want to make sure that your stirrups are correct. You want to make sure your girth is tight. You're looking for soreness, soundness, obviously, hopefully, lamenesses, okay? You want to go ahead and check their stop at the boards and rollbacks. A lot of times, horses will get more anxious when you have a mallet in your hand. So when you put a mallet in your hand, you're tempted to start hitting the ball right away. Think about when you go out and play a game. You want to stretch, you want to warm up, you want to make sure everything feels good. Same with the horse, okay? Mallet. You want to have the correct length. You want to make sure it's not broken, it's not wrung, the grip is improper. If you have access to a coach or a manager or another professional, ask them. Be like, hey, this mallet, can you check it and make sure it's appropriate for me? They are, I will bet you 9 times out of 10, they are more than happy to check your mallet, make sure it's the right grip, make sure it's the right length, weight, make sure it's not wrung. They'll check it for you if you're not sure. Experiment with a heavier mallet and then go back to the game with the lighter mallet. So if you have a couple of heavy ones in your bag, go ahead, practice with them, because then when you get to a game, that mallet will feel much lighter. All right, penalties. All right, have someone on the ground setting up balls for you. Have someone video from the side and from behind. Quit before the horse gets fussy, and quit before you get tired and are missing and getting frustrated, because neither of those things will be 100% of your practice. And again, this can be amended if you have a groom warming up the horses for you, or if you know the horse really well and they already went on a set in the morning, you can amend some of this stuff. One thing I want to add, just when we go to the next slide, actually, I'll add it. Basically, these things with the penalties can fatigue your horse, and it can cause repercussions next time you go to take penalty shot on them. They might be antsy or fussy, so make sure and stop before they get fussy. Okay, stick and ball. We have practice at the walk, then the trot, then the canter. Focus on keeping it on the wall without any pressure from opponents. So here's the drill. You have your arena, it's been dragged. You're gonna tap that ball along the boards once around and keep possession on the boards. Then you're gonna trot, keeping possession on the boards. Then you're gonna canter, keeping possession on the boards without any pressure. Nobody else is there, this is just you. If you can do that successfully, that's great. Now go to your near side, okay? Put that ball on your near side and walk it down the boards on your near side at a walk, keeping it on the boards. If it goes to the off side, move your horse over and keep it on your near side. Don't go to the off side, all right? Can you do it? Now go to a trot. So now you're starting to see what I mean by 100% practice, right? It's not just fun stuff. It's the stuff that is more challenging, okay? And then once you can do it at a trot, keeping it on the boards, now you can go to a canter. You pick up the canter on the boards on the near side. Now, at this point, you've practiced penalties, you've practiced dribbling on the boards and near side, but your horse might be fatigued, right? So what we have now is we have either grab another horse, and if you don't have access to another horse, practice is over, okay? You might decide you can play like one chucker, but we have to be horsemen, okay? We ask these horses to play 7.5 minutes, and you've probably already been in the arena now for close to 20, okay? So if your horse is young and fit, great, do a little bit more, but then that's the end. Or walk your horse maybe for 5-10 minutes, take it on a hack outside the arena, and come back in if it's a young fit horse and go again. But let's be realistic and let's be horsemen. Okay, now practice the 2-minute drill. All right, what's the 2-minute drill? See how many goals you can score at speed in 2 minutes. This is separate than the last drill, okay? Fresh horse or after you've gone for a walk. Then try it on a different horse. Then try it again the next day, and then try it again in a week and again in a month. How do you do? Have you learned that speed kills you in the 2-minute drill and then it comes down to technique? So these are just ways that you can practice giving 100%. It allows you to focus on your riding, on your swing, and focus on shooting at a goal rather than just hitting big. Because if you try and go too fast in a 2-minute drill, you actually are going to take away the time when you go chase errant balls and rebounded balls, and you're going to have less goals than if you focus on your riding and your hitting ability. All right. Here we go. More execution. Arena and field. Practice with a buddy or buddies. So let's say you come to practice and there's only two of you. What can you do that will be beneficial for your horse and for you? Keep away. We started playing this a lot this summer. It's been a blast. It's been really great for the greener horses. And it's been a really great way to get people to work on their hitting position and work on their focus of head over the ball. So basically you can only turn the ball to the right. It's like, 7 to 10 minutes max, and then you break and walk. All right. Now, 1v1v1. So you have an arena. Every player gets their own points for goals. Scoring person, if they score first, they have to go back to the other goal. So this puts one player on defense, one player on offense, but all the players are actually on offense if they can keep the ball away and ride the players off or take a back shot. This comes down to hand your horses. So for more explanation on this, we can talk about that after. But this is a really fun game to play as far as, something different than playing checkers, right? Because every time you are at checkers, are you playing polo the same way and getting burnt out? These are ways to break it up. All right, 2v2. No back shots back shots only and shots on goal only, and no turning, okay? So you set yourself up to work on angles, to work on tapping and shot on goal, and you work on not turning, okay? Because turning can get really, it's boring and it's not good polo. We want to work on our back shots and angles. All right, one hit rule. When you're the best player at practice, I'm talking to you guys again, okay? Try and only hit the ball once. Don't just run the ball down to goal and be bored, right? Say to yourself, okay, I am acknowledging that everyone else here are beginners or intermediates and I'm the strongest player. You are going to hit the ball to someone, okay? You can only hit it once, right? So you're either shooting for goal or you're shooting to a teammate. Same with a back shot. You look, if you're the best player, you should be able to look, and then you take a back shot, all right? So it allows you to survey the field so that next time you go to play with players that are better than you, you now have the concept of looking, because that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about staying where we're at. We're talking about getting better, raising our handicap, giving our practice 100%. So basically, every time you go to practice, you should be excited and you should be prepared. And when you take a step back and you see the big goal, you'll be able to give you that 100%. And when you give that 100%, you'll get it back. Okay, so let's now talk about drills at practice. And this is when you're limited on horses or limited on people. Sounds like I polo, right? So you can work on ride-offs. You need 3 people. You have 1 person at the goal mouth. They hit the ball down the arena. And the 2 people, they ride off and battle for the ball, okay? So whoever has their momentum and their horse in front of the other player, this is my favorite Joel Baker drill ever of all times, because it's not about just like you kicking horses into each other. It's about momentum, and it's about getting your horse's body in front of theirs. So you can do drills as far as ride-offs. Communication drills. This is 3 players. Let's say you're all on a team together. 1 tap, and then the player behind you calls for a back or a tail or an away or a neck, and they go to that ball. And then the 3rd player does the same thing. You tap it once forward, and then they call for an away, a tail, or a neck. And so this drill allows the 3 of you to work your horses and work on your teamwork and work on your communication. Okay, then the 1 hit rule, right? Direction, speed, angles. Okay, so if you're going to be doing drills at practice, you put everybody on the 1 hit rule. It gets away from the dinking, and it gets away from the misses. If they know that they can only hit it once, and you take away the hooks, then you have the 1 hit rule, and all of a sudden you have an open practice, and it'll lead to better polo. So here we go. Can you identify who's the strongest player at practice? So this is now talking to everyone here. Can you mark them? Do you find that they take you to the ball? Do you know how to umpire a game? Do you know how to demonstrate to another person the rules, swings, and hitting position? When you show up to practice, if you can identify all these things, then you know how to better give 100% at practice. If you are not the best player, start marking the best player, okay? If they take you to the ball, start working on taking your time to hit the ball, because I guarantee you if it's a practice, they are going to let you hit it if you took them out, okay? Most higher rated players, and now some of you are like, okay, well, do I need to stop hooking that beginner? Yes, you need to stop hooking that beginner. If that beginner has ridden you off, let them hit the ball and go to the next play. Otherwise, you're not doing anything to raise your level of polo or give 100% at practice, okay? Because giving 100% means not just giving 100% to yourself, it means giving yourself 100% to your team and to your horses. Okay, I know I went over the 30 minutes, but I'm almost done. Execution, attitude, how you react, how you approach the practice. So that this sheet summarizes yourself, okay? Because it's a state of mind when you go to practice. What are you looking to get out of it, right? Everyone has different attitudes and expectations. The best way to practice 100% is to be goal-orientated, be prepared, and have a positive attitude. That's the best way to approach practice. Polo is a privilege. It's not a right. We are fortunate that the horses allow us to play polo on them. We are 10% of the game. They are 90% of the game. And we owe it to the horses and to our teammates to give 100% at practice, and that will resonate in our attitude. So if you are a novice and you are at practice, look for ways to jump in and help with prep, okay? When you spend time prepping, you spend time with the managers and the pros, and they will give you equal respect and equal feedback. Ask questions. It's a two-way street. Polo is not an introvert sport. I know this pretty much without having to do any kind of, survey. Most people who play polo are extroverted. Keep expectations realistic. Don't risk injury or frustration, and be flexible. Sometimes you will get ignored and not even hit the ball at a practice, okay? That just shows that you need to listen more and work on your riding. Also, as a novice, know when you're fatigued, ask for a break. Don't risk hitting horses, falling off, or go reaching for balls or riding into others, because it will just not, it will be more conducive to you if you take a break than become fatigued and risk hurting someone, a horse or yourself. Okay, intermediate. Look for learning opportunities, okay? Offer to take the knock-ins, help umpire, play position 3, right? You're trying to get better here, but you have to take the initiative. Listen to your teammates, help with new novice players, communicate with your peers or disregard, communicate with peers or don't disregard professionals. So a lot of times, some of us may think, we know, and so we sometimes disregard other people. Don't ever disregard them. You want to make sure that you're always listening, okay? Challenge yourself by playing different positions, riding different horses, and putting together matchups where you have to work harder. If you're always going to the same person and you're always, I beat this person, I hooked this person, great. Go to someone else now, okay? Know that you have to be an example for novice players and may have to help out, run a practice, or not play offense, just defense, or no fence when starting beginners. Remember that we all started somewhere, okay? So this can apply to clubs. This can apply to II teams. It can apply a lot of places. Now, advanced. Could you please set the example with responsibilities? As an advanced player, you probably feel overwhelmed at times because you have a lot on your plate. Don't be afraid to ask. In fact, know that these novice and intermediate players are ecstatic when you ask, Okay, so please ask them. Set up plays, teach technical shots, help novices get tacked, mounted, and correct mallet organized. A lot of times, more advanced players will just show up, tack up their horse, go in the arena or go out on the grass and just wait for everyone else. That's not growing the sport. That's not giving back. That's not even helping your practice because you're just sitting there running your horse, sticking and balling while you're waiting for everyone, or you're frustrated because no one's prepared. We'll take a step back and say, how can I help other people? Play harder against intermediates to have them challenge you more. Find your toughest shots and focus on them for one chukker each. So as an advanced player, you probably are like, all right, well, I can hit it forward and backward at speed. Great. Do you have any angle on that back shot, right? Do you actually hit your back shots to any of your teammates? So even as an advanced player, if you know how to ride, you know how to hit, and let's say you've attained a 0-goal handicap, which is great on the grass, I would say you still always can be learning and working harder and give yourself that to do. So for one chukker, you can say to yourself, I'm only going to hit hard angled tail shots. And so you, on the right horse, you spend that chukker just focusing on hitting really nice angled tail shots. That will then go forward and you will see that in a tournament game because you spent the time working on those shots. All right. Know that you can raise the level of practices by being a competitor, a professional captain, and building relationships with others to create winning teams. That's a lot. That's a big, big statement for a practice. But really, it's how we improve this sport and grow this sport. If you're really a great player, you have access to really great horses, you have access to great coaching, it's all about giving back and raising the level of the play around you so that everyone gets better. Everyone wants to buy more nicer horses. Everyone wants to raise their handicap, play higher level polo because it is more fun in the end. And good professionals are really great at this, but us as advanced players are professionals as well. And so we want to have that attitude when we come to practice, okay? So in summary, giving practice 100% means having goals, being prepared, and executing a good practice. And I know that that was a lot of information. And so if you have any questions, I would be happy to take them. Is there a chat? Sometimes people like chat.
Yeah, no one's written anything in, but if anyone has a question they'd like to write in there, great.
Or go ahead and speak up. Come on, I thought you guys weren't introverts.
No? Last call? All right. Well, thank you so much, Megan. That was wonderful information and a great presentation to end our Ask the Experts on. If anyone has any questions afterwards you think of, please let us know. We can put you in touch with Megan if you don't already have her information. And I don't know if we said this at the beginning, but we are recording all of our Ask the Experts and we're going to be putting them online for everyone to view in their own time as well. So anybody have anything to add before we shut down?
Thanks, Megan. I'm going to share a couple of your slides with some of my players because I think it would sure help them.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I kind of wrote this as a coach for my teams. So that was kind of where this all came from. Like I had a PowerPoint I used to show at Cal Poly, and I was, it kind of has the basics of this, but like it applies to everyone. So thank you guys for joining.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Megan, and we hope to see you all out at the arena sometime soon. So have a good day.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good day. Bye.
Bye.